Hello everyone, this video will feature my immediate reaction to WWE Fastlane 2018, the final SmackDown pay-per-view before WrestleMania. Somewhat completing the road to WrestleMania, at least on pay-per-view. We still got a few more Raws and SmackDowns to go before we get there, but this video will also include reviews for the Ring of Honor 16th Anniversary Show and the New Japan 46th Anniversary Show, which I watched yesterday. Well, I watched New Japan yesterday, and I watched ROH earlier today before turning on Fastlane. So, you're going to get a bunch of reviews from me in this video, and with that, let's just go ahead and jump right into Fastlane. Now, I'm going to talk about Fastlane by comparing it to the live stream I did last night with Saturday night's main event and the Clash of Champions, which I've been doing, and you can watch, you know, for the time being, they're going to be every Saturday, although scheduling conflicts might prevent it from happening certain weeks, but for right now, count on it happening every Saturday. So I watched the shows last night, did the live stream and everything, and it is so much fun, and it is so refreshing to watch those shows, both of them, Saturday night's main event and Clash of Champions. I feel like I'm getting two different takes on the art form, and I know nostalgia is a powerful drug, but both shows do so many things that just work, where current year WWE is doing stuff that doesn't work, and just the difference in feeling and attitude is striking. And one of the reasons that I'm enjoying doing the live streams is that you all get to see me mark out for shit, and you get to see me be happy and enjoy the wrestling I'm watching, as opposed to me coming on here talking about a WWE pay-per-view and sounding like a complete sourpuss. But the show wasn't good. I'm sorry. It was, it felt like a glorified episode of SmackDown. I said it before, there's no need to have another pay-per-view heading into WrestleMania. I feel like this was just extraneous and completely unnecessary of an event. And didn't do that much to entertain me. There were a few things they did that kept me from giving it the full F grade. Actually, what it came down to was the main event. I was like, okay, if they take the belt off AJ, I'm giving the show an F. If AJ retains, I'm giving it a D. AJ retained, therefore I'm giving it a D. And I guess we can just start with the beginning of the show. We had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev. I talked about this match earlier. I believe I did anyway. Where I feel like this was a dumb match to do because it doesn't really do either guy any favors. You have this one guy who's a heel but is massively over with the audience, and him being a heel at this point is just Vince going against what the audience wants. They should really make plans to turn him babyface, if they haven't already. And the crowd's going to cheer him pretty heavily no matter what. And then on the other side, you have Nakamura, who's the #1 contender heading into WrestleMania, and you need him to kind of gain momentum and get the crowd on his side heading into that show. It looks like AJ and Nakamura is going to be a babyface match, which actually, by the look of it, there's going to be a few babyface matches, but you got this and Asuka and Charlotte, which I'll get into that in a little bit. But if you're going to do a babyface match, putting Nakamura up against a guy that the fans like and having him go over isn't going to do him any favors. Now, if Nakamura is the heel, it's a perfect setup because then he's beating a popular guy and the fans will hate him for it. So I call that the Hacksaw Jim Duggan principle, where Hacksaw was used to set up Sergeant Slaughter and Yokozuna for WrestleMania 7 and 9 respectively. I'm coining that phrase, by the way, the fucking Hacksaw Jim Duggan principle. But, yeah, so I feel like this match, Nakamura's going to go over, but nobody's going to like him beating Rusev, and Rusev is this really popular guy that should gain some level of momentum, but instead he's getting beat, so it really doesn't do anybody any favors. The match itself dragged a little bit. It picked up a bit at the end. Nakamura won, which everyone expected. Although Rusev did get in that super kick spot, which looked pretty good to counterbalance the Bomaye. I refuse to call it the Kinshasa. It's the Bomaye. But, yeah, I thought the match was alright. Didn't really do anything for either guy, like I said, but it was a match that happened, so bleh. I believe next was Randy Orton challenging Bobby Roode for the U.S. title. This match was boring as fuck. I know they were going for like an old school 80s type of match, but it felt like they were going in slow motion. They didn't really do anything to make that style work. They were just doing the moves. And the end result was this very slow, boring, plotting match until Randy Orton hit the RKO after about 30 minutes, or however long it was. It felt like 30 minutes. and won the U.S. title. So now Randy Orton has won every single title in WWE that he can possibly win. Hooray. Don't really care. Then Jinder Mahal comes out post-match, beats down Orton. Then Rude beats down both of them. I guess turning heel. I don't know. This brought up like a stupid cliche that I'm becoming more and more annoyed with in modern-day wrestling, where Bobby Roode loses the match, but he beats everybody up after the match, so they play his theme song to play him out. I guess signifying that he won the segment or something, and it's like, it takes a lot of the spontaneity out of beatdowns or run-ins when you do that type of stuff. They did it later with the Bludgeon Brothers running in during the tag title match. It was just, oh, we gotta slow it down, play their theme music, have them slowly walk down to the ring. Isn't it more effective if they come the hell out of nowhere and nobody sees them coming? Doesn't that make it more... just fuck. Anyway, what came after this? I think it was the Divas tag match after this. It was Carmella and Natalya versus, I'm assuming, Naomi and Becky Lynch. I don't really know for sure because I went to go take a quick shower and effectively missed this match. So I didn't see it. I guess it's good. I know Carmella got the pin for her team, so it's good that the Money in the Bank holder is actually getting wins on pay-per-view. That's a good thing. But other than that, I don't really have anything to say about the match. Then I believe we got, I believe it was the tag title match after this. Usos defending against the New Day. Now, these guys had the match of the night at a few SmackDown pay-per-views last year, so I was kind of expecting them to like, okay, they're going to save the pay-per-view here. And the way they did the match, both teams were effectively stealing each other's moves and just hitting them on each other, so it was like New Day was playing Usos, and Usos were playing New Day. And that was kind of neat, and it separated it from all their other matches. I'm like, okay, this is going well. Then the Bludgeon Brothers did their run-in and then beat the holy crap out of them for 11 billion hours. Like I said, with the slow walk down with the theme music for the run-in, because nothing's allowed to be a surprise anymore. I guess the beatdown was fine. The match was fine while it lasted. Didn't really do anything to generate any more interest from me, and I'm sure... I mean, I don't mind that a match ends on a DQ. Sometimes it's necessary, but... I guess we're getting a three-way tag at WrestleMania or something. I don't know, but it was just there. I thought like New Day and Usos were going to kind of help save the pay-per-view, and instead we just kind of got this blah match. And, well, I mean, the match was going fine, and then it got cut off, so it was just kind of like, whatever. What came after this? I've already forgotten the card. Let's pop up the card. See... I had it popped up. See, this is how little of an impression the show left on me. I've already forgotten, like, what happened. Oh, so it was the women's... I thought there was a match before the women's title match. No, there wasn't. So, okay. Now I know what I want to talk about. Okay, they really... I don't know when they started doing, like, the cartoon text graphics. But that needs to stop, because it looks really bad and really stupid. Knock that off, because it looks terrible. Like, it looks dated as hell. It looks like something from the 90s, and it looks awful. It looks really, really bad. And when you're watching a show from the WWE, you expect top-level production, and then it looks like that. It's like, God damn it, guys. You gotta stop that. That looks terrible. I don't know whose idea that was, but it looks awful. Moving on from there, then we get the women's title match, Charlotte versus Ruby Riott. I made the comment months ago that Ruby Riott was not ready for the main roster. She should have been in NXT for a while longer, needed some more polishing. And then we get this match, which was bad. She didn't necessarily, Ruby Riott, I mean, she didn't necessarily botch a lot. It's just that the match had almost no heat, and it was boring, and went way longer than it had any right to go. It wasn't a good match. It was a bad match. It was just long, boring, and painful to sit through. Now, what was good was the post-match where Asuka came out and announced that she wants to face Charlotte at WrestleMania, which, thank God, we're getting that match. It's like, alright, so there's another match at WrestleMania I can sink my teeth into. Granted, I would have preferred it if Charlotte was a heel. I think that would have made the dynamic more interesting because, again, it's another babyface match, but... I'll take what we can get. And it's like, alright, you've got like the perfect athlete in Charlotte dealing with the undefeated megastar in Asuka. So it's like, okay, cool. I'm down for that. I can sink my teeth into that, and I can enjoy that at WrestleMania. So that's fine. And then we got the main event, which was the six-pack challenge for the WWE title. It was AJ Styles, John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Baron Corbin, who has a badass new theme song, by the way. I have not watched SmackDown in months, and I know it shows. So this is the first time I've heard Baron Corbin's new theme, and I was like, oh, wow, that was actually... It's pretty cool theme music. I kind of like it. Match itself, like I said, all they needed to do was have AJ retain, and they did, so I'm not going to complain too much. It had its moments. It was a wild free-for-all, and it was... parts of it were fun. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are totally the baby faces against Shane McMahon, because he totally screwed them out of the belt, because he's, you know, he got involved when he shouldn't have. And it's one of those things, like the heel, because Owens and Zayn are supposed to be the quote-unquote heels, and I'm like, but they're not. They legitimately got screwed out of the title. What the fuck? Write better stories than this, because you're just making me hate the faces, and, good lord. But the match itself was basically, like, what you would expect out of a multi-man match. You get a table bump, you get a bunch of finishers hit in succession, you get, like, a bunch of guys getting knocked out of the ring, and then you get the one-on-ones, and then the interchanging from there. But it wasn't boring, I'll give it that. It's, even if it is fairly typical of what you get out of most multi-man matches, it was fun for what it was. So that bumped up the pay-per-view at least a little bit. I mean, it was easily the best match on this very dire and lackluster and completely unnecessary card. But like I said, all they had to do was get out of there. All they had to do to get out of there unscathed was to keep the belt on AJ, and they did. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to complain. Not going to complain too much anyway. So yeah, Fastlane gets a D for me. It's a totally skippable show. It was nowhere near as bad as like Battleground, which took pieces of my soul away. But it was just a dull, lifeless, and completely pointless show. So, and even the stuff that was good, like Asuka coming out to challenge Charlotte in the main event, were things that either could have been done or SmackDown or didn't need to be done. Like the main event, like you didn't need that match, but we got another pay-per-view to fill, so so yeah, wasn't a huge fan of Fastlane. Now I will tell you two shows I did enjoy: New Japan's 46th anniversary and the ROH 16th anniversary show. Let's start with New Japan because I watched that one first. Started off with two tag matches that were skippable. I mean, whenever they do 8-man tags and 10-man tags, typically I skip those because those are just, you know, they're just white noise to me at this point. And New Japan shows are typically long enough. So from there, we did have a three-way tag for the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles where we got new champions, which was very surprising. Sho and Yo no longer the IWGP Junior Tag Team champions. And it looks like they're interjecting new teams into the division, which was sorely needed because... you know, the endless series of the Young Bucks and Roppongi Vice was getting old. And now that we've got Sho and Yo and we've got LIJ and various other teams throwing their names in the hat, it makes that division at least more interesting to watch. And I thought the match was fine. It was a typical spot festy type of tag match, but I thought it was a solid match. And the title change legitimately surprised me. Then we got Sonata versus... Yoshihashi, a nice singles showcase for Sonata, who's been having really good performances lately. And this was more the same. Sonata continues to look good, continues to have good matches, and is getting wins. And I wonder if they're setting him up to become, like, the next, like, kind of star on the rise. We'll see. I think there's a lot of potential there with Sonata. At least I would love to see him eventually feud with Naito and see if they can do, like, some... infighting within LIJ and see if they can do something there. But right now, Sonata is coming along nicely and continues to have good matches. Got a nice win here, so good stuff. A match that surpassed my expectations was Naito versus Taichi, where Taichi got the jump on Naito before the match and jumped him before the match and made it look like Naito was taking him lightly and almost got caught napping. Naito got the win, obviously, but it made for a very fun match, and I did enjoy it. And a different pairing from what you normally see, and it was overall a very entertaining match. So, yeah, good stuff. Just an enjoyable match, nothing like match of the year worthy or anything, but a nice solid showcase for Naito, who continues to be one of the best parts of New Japan Wrestling. And then we got my pick for match of the night for the Intercontinental title. The scariest man in pro wrestling, Minoru Suzuki, defending the gold against Togi Makabe, the Unchained Gorilla. I was a big fan of Makabe a few years ago. The matches he had with Ishii were one of the reasons I got into watching New Japan on a regular basis. He hasn't had a real strong performance in a while, and he's been relegated mostly to tag matches. and some of the magic has been missing there. I don't know if the injuries have just caught up to him and he just can't do those matches as regularly anymore, but Makabe just hasn't had that same fire to him that he did during the matches with Ishii when I first started watching. He got some of that magic back here. I thought the match he had with Suzuki was very good, very nice, very hard-hitting, and a lot of cool stuff in there. And was a match that was worthy of, like, what I typically associate with the never open weight matches, where, you know, it's just this hard-hitting, like, brute fest, basically. And I'm convinced that Minoru Suzuki could paint the side of a barn with his bare hands, the way he slaps his opponents and stuff. But yeah, very enjoyable match. I mean, I didn't expect a title change. Suzuki won, obviously. But overall, very solid match, very enjoyable. My personal pick for best match on the show. And that leads into the main event for the IWGP World title. It was the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada defending against Will Ospreay. This match was interesting because it's a pairing we don't normally see. These guys are teammates within Chaos, which Okada's opened up the door to for members of Chaos to challenge him for the belt. And the match was interesting in how it was worked. It wasn't worked in the typical, like, dramatic, oh my god, is Okada going to lose the belt? It was worked more as Okada was the dominant champion, getting a fairly dominant win, and Ospreay just basically getting high-level hope spots the entire time. And I like to see more matches like that, where the champion isn't always hanging on by a thread. It's nice to see, like, the champion not get necessarily an easy win, but kind of a coasting win where he dominates most of the match and gets the victory. That's pretty much what happened here. Ospreay didn't look bad. He just was relegated mostly to just having hope spots, and then Okada kind of put him away when it was time to put him away. So overall, I did enjoy the match for that. It's not, again, not a match of the year or anything like that, and both guys could probably do better, but it is nice to see a champion get a dominant win like that. Very similar to what I thought about Samoa Joe versus CM Punk 3 in Ring of Honor, where it was nice to see Joe, like, pretty much just say fuck it and just beat the ever-living crap out of Punk for half an hour and then get the win. So, you know, let his desperation show and various other things and get a dominant win. So yeah, overall enjoyable show. Nothing truly grand or spectacular on it, but solidly entertaining throughout and very entertaining. So I'll give it a B as the overall grade. I thought it was a solid show. And that leads me into Ring of Honor's 16th anniversary show, which happened Friday night. I did a top 10 Ring of Honor match video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out, where I talk about my personal top 10 favorite matches in Ring of Honor history. And it is very cool to see them reach this milestone. And every year they do their anniversary shows. It's like, man, Ring of Honor's still around. All these years, even TNA or Impact Wrestling or whatever they call themselves. It's cool that they've lasted as long as they have, through hell or high water in Impact's case, but and that they've grown and evolved and managed to survive in a wrestling climate that isn't necessarily conducive to having other companies around, because WWE kind of rules the world, but they've lasted, and good for them. So going over the matches, I thought most of the matches were really good, a lot of solid stuff, and even the matches that were kind of just okay, there was typically something that something big that happened that kind of made it work. So there was a lot of big moments on this show, a lot of good matches, and just overall a really solid show overall, all around. And I would say the best show I watched this weekend, from at least from the new shows. I mean, the best shows I watched, of course, were Saturday Night's Main Event and Clash of Champions. I mean, come on. Nostalgia, powerful drug. But I did think Ring of Honor's 16th anniversary show was really strong and my favorite of the three major shows I watched. But going over the matches, we opened up with Hiromu Takahashi defeating Flip Gordon in a really good athletic match. Nice, hot opener, good stuff. And the second match on the show was Marty Scurll taking on Punishment Martinez for an ROH World title shot. I wasn't sure how these two would mesh, but they ended up having a pretty good match, and their styles actually worked out kind of well. I wish the table spot, well, they did this thing where Punishment Martinez was going to do a flip dive through Marty through a table outside the ring, and Marty rolled out of the way, and Punishment Martinez just went crashing through the table. I wish either that had been the finish, or the actual finish, which was Marty sneaking in a low blow and rolling him up, you know, the villain, getting a title shot, which is cool. I'm totally cool with Marty winning. I just wish it's like, it should have been one or the other, like, because now the table spot feels kind of pointless. But overall, I did think the match was good. I thought it was good, solid action. The two meshed better together than I would have expected. And Marty's getting a title shot, so yay! That's neat. And then from there, I believe the next match was the TV title match. Kenny King defending his newly won title against Silas Young. Now, I had a problem with this match. They already did the TV title win on ROH television a couple weeks ago. And it was a good match, and Kenny won the title, defeated Silas Young, and the title change was nice and everything. The problem is that because the title change was not that long ago, this feels like just a rushed rematch, so here are your options for a result. You either have Kenny King go over, so it's the same result, and it doesn't feel as special because you already did the title change, or Silas Young goes over and you render Kenny King's victory over him completely pointless. And it's like, why'd you even put the belt on if Silas was just going to win it back? So the match was kind of lacking from that aspect. There, no fault of either guy. It was just one of those booking mistakes that I hate. It's like, you don't have to do immediate rematches all the time, you know. But I did think the post-match was cool, where Austin Aries, the current Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, came out and challenged Kenny King for the ROH TV title. Very interesting, and it's drummed up all the speculation that Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor have a working agreement now and are going to start exchanging talents, which is great. I mean, that's something that the two companies should have always been doing with each other, and them kind of being at each other's throats has been kind of counterproductive for both of them. I think both of them really benefit from having talent exchanges through the entire history, and could have had working relationships and interpromotional shows and things like that. And but, you know, is what it is. Yeah, seeing Austin Aries with the TNA World Heavyweight belt, it was like, wow, that's interesting. And actually, I believe Impact Wrestling was streaming a show Friday night while this was going on, so it's almost like Austin Aries pulled a Rick Rude or something. And it's like, man, that's kind of neat, actually. But it'll be interesting to see when and where Austin Aries gets that ROH TV title shot. Is he going to get it WrestleMania weekend? We'll see. Supercard of Honor looks like it could be a very interesting show indeed. And from there, we got my pick for match of the night for the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles, a Las Vegas street fight. The Hung Bucks, Adam Page and the Young Bucks, taking on SoCal Uncensored, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. It's a street fight, and the Bucks excel in matches that are complete free-for-alls, and they did here. This was just a wild, crazy, violent. There was blood in this match. Kazarian in particular got color. Just a wild, crazy, and violent match, and definitely the major highlight of the show. The title change kind of surprised me. SoCal Uncensored won the belts, and then the Bucks got beat up post-match by members of the Kingdom, which plays into something that happened later in the show. So I like it when there's storyline connections like that in the show, and things like that make sense. It's like, all right, the Bucks got beat up and aren't going to be able to accompany Cody, which plays into what happened to Cody Rhodes in the next match. Cody versus Matt Taven, which was an okay match, not a great match. We all knew Cody was going over. But the real story, again, came post-match when Barry the Bear, or whatever that mascot is, took off his mask and revealed himself to be Kenny Omega, and then hit a V-trigger on Cody Rhodes, getting some measure of revenge for what happened when Cody turned on him. It's like, man, Supercard of Honor, man. I cannot wait to see Cody Rhodes versus Kenny Omega. That is going to be a hot match. That's one of the star attractions for me, WrestleMania weekend. I can't wait to see that match. I think it's going to be stellar. It's going to be a stellar attraction, and it's going to be the starting point of Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. Moving on from there, we had the ROH Tag Title match. The Briscoe brothers defeated the champions, the Motor City Machine Guns, to become 9-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. Match was fine. Fairly ordinary as far as tag matches go. Pretty much what you would expect from a standard Ring of Honor Tag Title match. It was fine, and I guess I'm okay with the Briscoes winning the belt since they're heels now and going in a slightly different direction from what they had been doing in previous years. So, again, it was fine. It was nothing great, but it was fine. And then we got the main event, Dalton Castle defending the Ring of Honor World title against Jay Lethal, the best big match wrestler in Ring of Honor today, I'd say so, at least for the last few years he's been. Jay Lethal's been outstanding. And the match these two had, I thought was very good. I thought it was easily the best match I've ever seen Dalton Castle have. I was not sold on him as Ring of Honor World Champion. I'm still not, especially when you had other options like Cody Rhodes and Jay Lethal, for example. And I'm like, Dalton is like, I don't dislike Dalton Castle, but main eventer, that's kind of a stretch for me. But This match went a long way to helping cement him as a main eventer. I thought the match they had was great. I thought the German suplex spot they did outside the ring was sick as hell, and some good drama in this match towards the end. I thought it was a very well-worked, well-executed main event. And now we've got Marty Scurll versus Dalton Castle to look forward to, where I'm kind of hoping Marty Scurll wins the belt, but just because he's Marty Scurll. And it would be neat. But yeah, Ring of Honor's 16th anniversary show. I was tempted. I was kind of on the fence with it. It's like, is it an A or a B? It's like a B plus A minus 89.5%. Which way do I go? Then I saw Fastlane, and I saw how dreary that show was. I'm like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just going to give Ring of Honor an A, just because, I mean, that show entertained me, and Fastlane didn't. So it's like, all right, Ring of Honor, you're getting an A. Congratulations. I thought your show was very good. I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for Super Card of Honor. And New Japan's got some stuff lined up too. They've been doing the New Japan Cup. Sakura Genesis is coming up. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Oh, Strong Style Evolved is happening. Their US show with Rey Mysterio versus Liger. New Japan has got some really good stuff lined up as well. So again, as a wrestling fan, there's plenty of good stuff to look forward to. We don't have to handcuff ourselves to the WWE all the time, you know. Or you could just do what I've been doing, just watch old WWF shit. It's great, it's terrific. But anyway, that concludes this video, my big review marathon for this video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. I highly recommend checking out both New Japan and Ring of Honor anniversary shows. I thought they were really good. Fastlane, skip it. All you need to know: AJ retained, Asuka picked Charlotte. And that's pretty much all you need to know. And Randy won the U.S. title for those that care. That's pretty much all you need to know. The matches themselves weren't that great, and there's nothing like worth going out of your way to see. But that is all I have for you now. I'm going to have more videos lined up for you next week. But until then, you all have a good one.